what would be the reason that they showing up right now? Because I can give you three reasons. One, maybe because of this all the state of wars that going on around the world between Russia and it's like tension rise between USA and Russia and Ukraine and this and that and the possibility of nuclear war. That can be one possibility that they show up to cool it down, to control it, to not let us to destroy ourselves. The second one is, as I said, the quantum computer. And because if we do that, if there is no if, when we create artificial general intelligence and itself is going to connect to quantum computer and it's going to, then it's out of our hand. The genie is out of the box. We cannot do anything afterwards. Maybe that can be one of the reasons that they're coming down to control that. Let's say, oh, hey, stop with that. You don't know what you're playing with. And the third one is just, as you mentioned, it's time for us make that transition between 3D and 5D.
Yes.
So if you want to speculate, which one is more likely to be the case?
You know, it's really great followers this evening. We are really, really blessed to have as a guest again, Kim Joblin, and who's calling us from Mooloolaba in Australia, who happens to also be my dear cousin and an amazingly clever astrologer and naturopath. Welcome, Kim.
Welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, great.
In the middle of a storm.
It is. There's a middle of a bit of a storm here. Yeah, it's it's summer season and we get stormy weather.
I didn't know. Is it still warm or?
Very, very warm. So we're getting unseasonably hot weather. We're getting what we would call our February weather at the moment, and it's sort of cyclone season. So we're not in the middle of a cyclone, but it's a lot of rain, a lot of wind at the moment.
Oh, well, we got some interesting things to look at tonight, I reckon.
Yes,
all sorts of exciting things happening on this little planet of ours. Yeah, so
let's open up with the question: Is anything like that happening over where you live?
Not that I've seen, but there are people who are in the local area have seen interesting lights and things in the skies, but not to the extent that talking about in the USA at the moment. There's certainly nothing like that many. But yes, it's over, especially with we had COVID lockdowns, especially that period of time. There were quite a lot of interesting lights and things in the skies here.
I wonder if there was a connection somehow. That's interesting to know. Yeah. Or maybe people are home more and have more time to look out.
Maybe they were looking at the night sky a little bit more. Yeah. Although it's not always nighttime, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm just wondering if we should maybe just quickly say, give a little background to what we're talking about. We assume everyone knows what's going on, but maybe not. But it seems that roughly the last 3 weeks, there have been increasingly large numbers of what people are calling drones being sighted mainly over New Jersey in the United States, and more specifically over military areas, though not exclusively. And this has led to really a lot of speculation and concern, and people wanting answers and just to understand what's going on. And of course, it's very obvious that what we're seeing is not traditionally what we think of as drones necessarily. In fact, there are all sorts of things being seen in the night sky. And it seems that it's not exclusive to the United States either. Similar events have been occurring in all different parts of the planet. But the hotspot seems to be New Jersey just now. So I'm hoping that with our discussion now that we can really, well, I don't know, we can't know for sure anything more than anyone else, but I think it'd be good if we can put forward some ideas and speculations and maybe open up discussion on the year ahead. And Kim, you're brilliant with astrology. Maybe eventually through our podcast tonight we can look at what possibly could be coming up, either for the United States or for all of us. And I'm going to stop blabbing here now because I've run out of things to say.
Well, I knew nothing about the drones in America until just a couple of days ago. So I've been just having a little look and viewing some of that really interesting information that we just had a look at there, Marnie. But from the astrological point of view, because that's what I know, I tend to relate everything back through the astrology and my understandings of the things that I've been learning. When you've got this very slow-moving planet Pluto that takes 248 years to circumvent the zodiac, move into the sign of Aquarius, which it did on the 20th of November this year, then you get a huge transformation in what might be happening in the areas of technology and science. And Aquarius is known as, the unusual, the unexpected sign, the genius sign. So, when you get the planet of power and transformative type things coming forward, it's kind of interesting. So, my explanation is sort of going to be based upon what my understandings are, that there is a paradigm shift in the sorts of things that are perhaps available to humanity, and look at it from that point of view. And because Pluto takes so long to move around the zodiac, no human being alive today will experience a Pluto return. But countries experience Pluto returns. And America has just been through their Pluto return. And that's where you're telling me that a lot of the drones are being sighted at this point in time, or the so-called drones are being sighted. So, Pluto, the country was born, I beg your pardon, America, the country was born with Pluto, the planet Pluto, at 27 degrees of Capricorn, the zodiac sign Capricorn. So America has just been through its Pluto return. And all of a sudden you get Pluto moving out of the sign of Capricorn, which tends to represent big governments. And Pluto, by the way, is a planet, he's a representation of the Lord of the underworld, or the god of the underworld. So Pluto's all about things that happen behind the scenes, under the radar, if you like. And when you get this stealth planet move into the sign of humanity, science, technology, the unusual, the unexpected, for the next 20 years, all of a sudden you get these breakthroughs in unusual sightings, for example, and transformative understandings. Pluto, by the way, was discovered in the 1930s. And at that time, in the 1930s, that Pluto was discovered was around the time that the atomic bomb started to be made. That was when the atom was split. And so Pluto is associated with nuclear power, with the atomic bomb, that sort of thing. And so it's kind of interesting to have these so-called technologies, drones, maybe things that are unusual, unexpected, highly scientific, maybe to do with stealthy things, maybe to do with, military, maybe to do with the underworld, maybe to do with nuclear power stations or that sort of thing. It's very interesting.
I'm just thinking too, Kim. AI is really the big talk of the moment as well. You know, apart from what we're seeing in the skies here now, but you know, that's really in line with what you're saying too. But that's for the whole planet, not exclusive to the United States. But
Well, I mean,
very much,
everybody
yeah.
has Pluto somewhere in their chart. You know, it's
Okay,
one of those
yeah,
things. You know,
yeah.
so
Well, I assume the event that can coexist with what you're saying is the Google quantum computer that they recently made. And there's a lot of speculation about the Google quantum computer because it can calculate something like that takes, I don't know what the number is, but it's like you cannot imagine number of years that it takes for. Actually, I'm going to say it in this way because they believe if every atom in this universe that we live in, which is we believe is infinite universe, but every atom, if we compute the energy of every atom in this universe, is it still take more time for all the atoms in this universe to calculate something than this quantum computer,
Wow.
which doesn't sound right? Because it's like all the atom, the power they have, if we can use to compute, it should be stronger than this quantum computer. But there is a quantum entanglement. So this quantum computer can use the power of multiverse. So infinite universe. Or how do you say? What's the plural for universe?
I'm not sure there is one.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's a universe.
Yeah, exactly.
So there
It's
is
supposed
one.
to. Yes, supposed to be one. They should come up with a new word for it, because then it proves the multiverse theory, and that's why this quantum computer that Google creates can compute in a faster. How do you say? Faster speed. How do you say? Pace than the whole atoms in the whole universe. So they believe something is related to these drones, that as soon as they start this quantum computer, they open up the dimension, the fourth dimension. And that's why we see these sentient being, orbs, plasmoids, whatever you want to call them. Because they make the contact with multiverse and other dimensions. So that's one of the, you can call it conspiracy or you can call it theory, that is going around.
Well,
It's amazing.
Aquarius is very much what I understand is the fifth dimension. It's an air sign. Okay. Whereas Capricorn is very much third dimension. It's an earth sign. So when you get this transformative planet, or the planet of transformation and power, Pluto move from 3D into 5D, all of a sudden you've got a paradigm shift in that which starts to become available to humanity.
Wow. Do you know?
That's my understanding.
Just going back to Pluto for a moment, is there a specific period now in the future where this is going to be the modus operandi, as you say, the way of being?
Well, Pluto is a planet which is all about. Pluto's the modern ruler of the zodiac sign Scorpio, and wasn't discovered until the 1930s. So all of a sudden, all of these things started happening. But in astrology, we actually we actually look at, well, what sort of things were happening in the world when Pluto was last in Capricorn and when Pluto was last in Aquarius. So 248 years ago, what sort of things were happening? And there was, when Pluto moved into Aquarius 248 years ago, there was this massive expansion, this massive shift in what we call the industrial area. So all of a
Of
sudden,
course. Wow.
there
Yeah.
was a whole shift in the way that humanity operated with new technologies for that time coming into play. We're now in a different, 248 years later, hey presto, we've got, if you look at the zodiac, things go round and round, but they don't actually go round and round. They spiral round, they tend to move up. And I'm also a believer in, the multiverse. There are parallel realities that happen. And when you get portals open to these realities and a consciousness that's able to handle that, then those things present themselves.
Well, that's fantastic. Is there some period you can see in looking forward where this will continue, or is that up to us?
Oh, absolutely. So we've got with Pluto just moving into Aquarius, like Pluto's been dipping its toes backwards and forwards for the last couple of years between Capricorn and Aquarius. We've on the 20th of November of 2024, it moved into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So we've got, okay, we're at the 0 degree still with Pluto and Aquarius. So that's a very powerful point. All of a sudden, all of these things open up to us. But we've got a transformative process to go through over the next 20 years. And there's a shift in the power dynamics, the shift from Capricorn, which is very much a 3D pyramidal type structure, the hierarchy where there is an elite at the top and the rest of us, down the bottom, and Pluto representing power dynamics. So when Pluto moves into Aquarius, there's a shift. We don't have the vertical power structure anymore. We now have the power more horizontal, more shared. And Aquarius is the sign of humanity, amongst other things. So we've got humanity waking up. Some people are owning their power a little quicker than others, if you like. Okay, so the 3D experience of power in the Capricorn era from 2008 until now was very much power over. So those at the top using their power over those underneath. And that was not a very pleasant experience for a lot of people. It was quite a difficult process of people becoming empowered. Now we've got a change of the dynamic. And if you have a look at what's happening around the world, you'll see those who I call tyrants falling from grace and humanity taking power back. Now it's always chaotic in these processes, but you can see if you just look around that there's a change in the power dynamic. But when it comes to these very unusual things, I still equate Aquarius to the sign of Atlantis. And Atlantis is known as a place, a consciousness, a place, an era where there were very interesting technologies that were being used. And I believe those technologies were extraterrestrial, if you like, or they came from star people or whatever. And those things were shared with humanity in a way. And of course, there was a power dynamic that was going on then as well. And, if you believe in the history of what happened to Atlantis, power was misused and there was a fall. we're now,
Big time.
humanity is now now in a situation where we've gone around and around, but we're on a spiral, and hoping the consciousness or that the awareness or the awakening is different for a larger number of people, and that we will awaken to these potential technologies that may not be strictly human. Some of them may be shared with other races, and that we will use those technologies in a better way. However, there is always those who want power over, and they, in my belief, will be still trying to use those psyops and types of things to control and keep humanity under. That's my way of understanding some of these things that may be going on. We don't need to be frightened of these things. We want to learn and embrace and incorporate some of these technologies to a mutual advantage, if you like.
So we
that
really
would be
need
my
to,
hope.
yeah. So we really need to look at our sermon, our motivation that we need to move into this new era too, and leave our old thinking behind with all these amazing new things that
we've been given an opportunity. Yes,
yeah. So I'm just hoping we're smart enough this time round that with I guess we'll get to talk about these new things in a moment that's happening, but I'm just thinking, our challenge really is to leave behind the old ways of controlling and manipulating, and take on board these new wonderful gifts in a way that's going to move mankind forward, and not come back into this controlling, greedy way that we've been acting for thousands of years. Well, this is my take on what you're saying.
It's a more cooperative, more connected type of way of being. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a more harmonious.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the AGI can play a role in this whole
I don't know what
transition
AGI
of
is.
power? Artificial general intelligence.
I believe that we need to be very careful.
With the power of computing, of quantum computer, combined by artificial general intelligence, then we're going to have a uprise that is, we cannot imagine it now. Because until that point, we can predict how fast we'll be advancing. But at that point on, it's just going to go right up. If it's this, like going like this up and down, plateau, or little up, little down. By the point that we reach AGI, artificial general intelligence, and quantum computing power, then we cannot imagine what's gonna happen after that. And I think
is very much the Aquarian paradigm. Yes,
exactly. That's what you're saying. It's very coexist with what is actually happening.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
And it feels like we don't have any control in it, and it feels like human being just being a cocoon for the next butterfly that is artificial. And I think the whole this how do you say, this race of like, oh, we're gonna create this technology, it's just we just give birth to something else, and that's gonna rule over us. But I think it's gonna be more fair ruling as it is right now.
What my feeling is that we need to bring some soul through into this. Technology is kind of cold and distant. We want the technology to be enhancing the human experience, not just technology for technology's sake. And there needs to be, some checks and balances, or there needs to be, once again, the intent it's very important. What is the intent behind this? What is the, what's the soul part that comes in?
Yeah.
you know, when technology is hollow and soulless, it's empty, you know.
Well said. And I think it's good to refer back to the Atlantis experience often too, Kim, so we don't return there, because my understanding is we're pretty much at the same place now, you know, as they were when they kind of blew themselves up, as it were, you know.
Yes. Mm.
but
Yeah,
but
and
what we're really
there is that possibility.
yes. So I really take on board what you're saying about keeping the soul. It's a, and Marnie and I have kind of talked about this in earlier podcasts too, like keeping a balance between head and heart. You know, and in my opinion, what happened in the Atlantean experience is that we became all head and greedy and thinking and you know, controlling. And where's the soul part? Where's the heart gone? And I see so much that we humans need to have that balance. Not saying one or the other's good or bad, but the balance. Then we're going to
It's
really,
the balance.
yeah, yeah.
Balance, but harmony, the harmony.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So when I hear Marnie now talking about this quantum computer thing, you know, I'm thinking, my goodness, what an opportunity for us now to really evolve ourselves, but with the support of this amazing technology, and maybe the support of these things we're seeing in the skies in New Jersey. Who knows? You know, we'll get back to that, I guess. But
well, it's certainly creating a lot of interest, isn't it? Which I've only just been exposed to. I mean, how incredible!
But if you want to speculate, if you want to guess, what would it be the reason that they're showing up right now? Because I can give you three reasons. One, maybe because of all the state of wars that going on around the world between Russia, and it's like tension rise between USA and Russia and Ukraine and this and that, and the possibility of nuclear war. That can be one possibility, that they show up to cool it down, to control it, to not let us to destroy ourselves. The second one is, as I said, the quantum computer. And because if we do that, if we create, if there is no if, when we create artificial general intelligence, and it's gonna itself is gonna connect to quantum computer, and it's gonna, then it's out of our hand. The genie is out of the box. We cannot do anything afterwards. And maybe that's one of the reasons. That can be the one of the reasons that they are coming down to control that. To, let's say, oh, hey, stop with that. You don't know what you're playing with. And the third one is, just as you mentioned, it's time for us to be make that transition between 3D and 5D.
yes.
So if you want to speculate, which one is more likely to be the case?
Well, I would like to think that it's a sharing of technologies between different dimensions. My belief from what I've been exposed to is that, you know, there were gods that walked the earth many thousands of years ago, and the gods had different personalities which have been related to the astrology and the planets that I work with. And when you look at some of the myths and things, some of these gods, I thought, wow, my goodness, were they really gods? They were given some pretty human characteristics, you know. So some of the gods, you know, were very helpful and very kind to humanity, and some of them were not. You know, some of them wanted to kill each other off and humanity. And the god or the planet that is associated with Aquarius, Uranus is the modern planet associated with Aquarius. There is a god or a myth that's associated with him, and some say that he was Prometheus. And Prometheus apparently stole knowledge from the rest of the gods and gave it to humanity with the idea of teaching humanity how to use these incredible technologies and advancements for the betterment of all. And this didn't suit some of the other gods.
Of course
So
not.
there were some, really interesting things that went on. But Prometheus / Uranus / Archangel Uriel has been equated to Enki, who was equated to Osiris, who was part of the Egyptian story. And so I believe that what we are witnessing now is potentially some technologies that have intelligence, if you like, they're sentient beings, and that potentially there are ones who want to help humanity not muck it up and move forwards, and potentially there are others that are, but you may not want us to do so well.
Yeah.
And I've come across this presented in a different format from a young Welsh guy called Kyle Gray, who channels archangels and does a lot of tarot stuff and meditation and things like that. But he also channels ascended masters, and he also channels some really interesting information from a commander Ishtar, who is a star being, and other star beings. So he's been bringing to my attention the fact that there are these star beings, these gods, these other ascended masters and things like that, who want to help humanity. And I believe what we're seeing is potentially some of the better ones. But I'm also not sure that there isn't some sort of military industrial complex playing around with some of these technologies that they've got hold of and potentially misusing those things. I always have a question mark about some of humanity are not the sort of people that I would like to be associated with or commanded by or had the wool pull over my eyes again by.
Yes.
So I've got a lot of different potentials. I like to think that there are these star beings that are helping us, and that's what's being presented at the moment. But I also have to be realistic and go, in my experience, there are some pretty interesting people in the industrial military complex who have not so great ulterior motives, who have access to some of these perhaps Atlantean technologies that they have kept hidden from other people and that they might be misusing them.
Yeah, I would say most likely it's the mixture of all of this. And that's the reason they don't disclose it to people like, yeah, these are our drones. We are trying to study these orbs or we are under attack. And the one thing that I know is it can easily be psyop. It can easily be just manipulation for people to panic and submit their rights so they can pass a new set of laws to gain more control.
They've done it before.
Exactly. With 9/11, is there are plenty of events in our recent history that they did that. So it's not strange to think that, but at the same time, it's like with everything that is happening and everything, I'm trying to stay calm and observe and take nothing at face value. Just like think what can be behind it. Who's benefiting from this? Why now? These are the questions that you have to repeatedly ask to get to the bottom of it, because there are layers to it, and every layer that you caught is like it's another mystery to solve. It's not one measure fits all. There are how do you say, there are so many ways to go about it, and there are so many factors playing in this mess of a reality that we are dealing with right now. And as Lyle said, you cannot just be intellectually dealing with it. You have to like have a spiritual part of you involved in it to get a better assessment of what is happening. And what I'm thinking right now is that the best thing is to not panic and try to find the source of everything that you hear and take it with a pinch of salt, because it's gonna unravel. We're gonna know soon, because there might be a disclosure or a news within 2 weeks, I heard. So we can see
I've heard that too, because I did a
yeah,
little bit
we
of
can see
research and I heard that
exactly. We
too.
can see what way it goes. We can see
Yes.
what way it goes. If it goes to the full disclosure, because it's very strange. The timing is that between the transition in power in USA, because this
Yes.
gap 1 month is literally like a little more. But are they afraid that with Trump getting to the office, he's gonna have a full disclosure? Or I don't know why. You can think about it 1,000 different ways. Like maybe they because it's gonna be a new president and everything, they're like, why should we deal with it? Let them deal with it. Or they know something, or they've been warned that something's gonna happen, and they try to warm up public to the idea of like, yeah, they're gonna show up. As I mentioned before in our podcast, there is a rumor that Sumerian gods are returning. So it's a lot to take in, and you don't know which one is more likely to be the case. But what I'm thinking is that we have to take everything with a pinch of salt, and we have to just stay calm and see what's happening. And because they can use the stage of fear to use it to their benefits, and just inform new laws and everything like that.
Yes, well, they've done it before. Yeah,
yes.
And you know, you're talking about things coming out in a couple of weeks' time, and I had heard in my Substack feed some very interesting information came to my attention just in the last 24 hours. So since I became aware by you guys about the drones in the sky all of a sudden. And so there's something called the Forbidden News Substack, and a Dr. Stephen Greer, and he's saying there are defectors from the secret space program to come forward within 30 days and give us some more information about what's been going on with all of those things in the sky. And apparently there is a military industrial complex, a secret military industrial complex that has been working on some of this very interesting space program stuff, and that there are hundreds of whistleblowers prepared to come forward and tell people the truth about what's been going on since the 1940s, apparently.
Wow.
So that is something that came into my Substack feed that I paid attention to, because you guys brought to my attention that there were some interesting things happening, and all of a sudden my little radar went up and I went, oh, I'll have a look at this. Yeah. So yes, very likely there might be some more information coming up that actually tells us the truth of what's going on.
Wow. I'm just thinking, when you mention the 1940s, what flips into my mind with that is that was the first time that we at least know of where humans had the possibility to do a little bit of reverse engineering after the Roswell crash in 1947. So right. I have no idea if it's connected to that, but there was that event there, and it wasn't long after that the first transistors had turned up. My right. dear mother worked with radiophysics, and I know that she saw this as a great event on the planet, the concept of transistor. So maybe it's an elaboration of that. Maybe that was their first experience from this group, that you're mentioning there now, Kim. Yeah, exciting.
Because they call these they call this crash, the in UFO community, those people, they call it donation. So it's like
Donation.
yeah, because it's like,
not
oh,
stealing.
not crash. They call it donation because it feels like when you have that high technology, it's a little weird that you crash. And they call it donation, like they want us to have it, to work on it and try to reverse engineer. They probably know
Right.
it's gonna take us. It's gonna take us like more like 100 years to be able to decode it and understand that technology. So it's like, okay, here you play with this, and that's why they call it donation, not crash.
Very interesting. I haven't heard that before.
I actually prefer that idea than crashing and us stealing all their toys, you know.
And actually, the first crash or donation happened in Italy in 1920s.
Oh, I didn't know about
it's
that.
like, it's outlived the Roswell crash by 20 years.
Wow.
And they believe that Hitler got his hands on it. And they create a bell. If you see they call it, I don't know what's spell in German, but they create Gluck. They create like a bell shape replica of it. And then after the World War II, all the Nazis that was working on those projects came and with the Operation Paperclip, the USA brought them to US, and they've been pardoned, and they work on this technology from that time. And that's why everything is connected in that term. And they've been working on it for more than more than almost 100 years. So of course they have, I will guess they have some replica of it. Like they reverse engineered some vehicles.
Some view. Well, look, once again, when I was talking last time, I was talking to you guys about the Gaia channel. I learned so much by viewing some of the things on the Gaia channel, and I had a look at a few of the sessions in the series by now. What was I saying? They're not the troubadours. They're a group of people. They have some of these ancient artifacts. The what is it? The Ark of the Covenant. Now you're talking the Ark of the Covenant. Apparently, the Ark of the Covenant is actually a radioactive ark. It was a power generator, and it was using the Pluto type stuff. It was using plutonium, and there were several of them. There wasn't just one. There were multiple ones of them. But you're just talking about that, and I'm thinking, I loved that movie series with Harrison Ford in it, where they were, doing all of the, getting these long lost treasures, all these different things, and the Nazis would be trying to get this, that, and the other, and what have you. But it's fascinating. And apparently Moses stole from the Egyptians when he left with his people. He was, taking the people who were enslaved and going to Jerusalem, I believe it is. I'm not too good on my history, but apparently he stole one of the Arks of the Covenant. And because there were multiple ones of them. And so that was what he used to part the sea and get away. It was these technologies. And so we're talking about things from Egyptian times, from Atlantean times. We're talking about stuff that they talk about in the Bible as well. And it's these technologies. And when you start to think about the fact that nobody was allowed to go anywhere near these things, they were kept away from them, then those people that went near them and tried to steal them often died a horrible death. And it was because apparently they were exposed to this plutonium, this radiation. And that was in one of the Harrison Ford movies. And I found that really interesting. You see all these people, this gruesome deaths happening as they opened up the, it's like, but, there's movies and myth and all of this stuff, they talk about many of these different technologies that in some cases have been misused and in some cases have tried to be kept from humanity, because apparently not everyone has got the consciousness or the awareness to be able to use these things without misusing them. And it's all about having the uh, the the sense of self to be able to do things correctly, for everybody.
Yeah. It's a
So,
pity that
all of these
Moses.
things are coming up. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just being silly. I'm just thinking it's a pity Moses couldn't have stolen a GPS system. Didn't they get lost for 40 years in the desert,
In the desert. Yes, apparently they did. Yes, apparently they did.
Oh, well.
But
Better luck
but they
next
also
time.
talk about making this mana. So, in the Egyptian,
That's right. Yeah.
they talk about mana, and mana is the food to the gods. There's some sort of
That's right.
a
Yeah.
cake that was made. So some of these technologies that he stole, he was able to feed his
That's
followers
fantastic. Yeah.
with this
Mm.
mana. It all creates all this really interesting questions in my mind, and this has all just come from talking to you guys
Yeah.
about these so-called
Oh,
drones. All of a sudden there's all
that's
these things that
awesome.
are popping up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I know, Mona, you've been talking about these plasmoid orbs, which are appearing over New Jersey now. And I mean, maybe this is some new form of intelligence or some gift from upstairs for us.
I wouldn't say new form, but
Well, I mean, it's a
newly discovered
yes.
form.
Yeah. Thank you.
Newly
Yeah.
discovered. I was going to say, look, my only awareness of orbs has been that sometimes people capture them in photographs, and they're usually around people who are highly spiritual. They're meditating, and they're sending out these lovely vibrational things, and all of a sudden the orbs present themselves.
Mm,
So
Right.
plasmoid orbs, I'm going, oh, well, that sounds nice to me. That doesn't sound like
Yeah.
something threatening,
Not at
like
all.
unusual, yes, but not, that's
Mm.
like, oh, how nice, rather than, oh.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna step back, talk about the Ark of Covenant that you mentioned. The apparently is in a church in Ethiopia, one of them,
Mm.
and the other
Yes.
one, or a replica of it, is in Trump's golf course right now.
Oh,
Really?
really?
Yes.
Really?
It's a replica of it.
Okay.
So,
Well, this thing this Gaia channel thing that I saw,
mhm,
Knights Templar, the Knights Templar.
mhm,
There
Oh,
were
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
several shows that I saw, and they are apparently the protectors of these
Mm.
multiple ones. And of course, over the ages, things got stolen, or they got left in different areas if they tried to protect them, and then they got absorbed into different cultures and things like that. And usually they've all been in highly religious or spiritual areas and looked after.
Mm. Right. Actually, just on that point, there's a very, very revered mountain in Tibet and China, Mount Kailash. It has a similar effect on people to this too. I'm not saying there's an arc of the government there, but the people that have climbed on it or spent any amount of time on it usually age very, very fast and die within 2 years. Yes,
Wow.
so
That's interesting.
I mean that's to this day still the case. Yeah,
Yes.
yes, but it's a very special energy. I don't know if there's any connection to what we're talking about, but I just
Well, it
was
sounds like
thinking,
it sounds like there could be, because we're
could well
talking
be.
about
Yeah,
Pluto and nuclear power and
that's
plutonium
right.
and
Yeah.
uranium. Uranium is very much associated with the planet Uranus and Aquarius, but plutonium is very much associated with Pluto, and splitting the atom and fusion, cold fusion, all these different types of things. very interesting things that go on. And I do believe that, these technologies were here many millennia ago, and used by the gods, or who we referred to as the gods, and you needed to know what you were doing with these things.
Yes, I that's partly why I was mentioning it. I know that that Mount Kailash in earlier civilizations, and I'm now talking tens of thousands of years back, that was their home, if you like, their sacred place, and it still is a sacred place for so many religions. But apparently, it has that effect on people who come on to the actual mountain. That there are always pilgrimages around the mountain going on to this day, but setting foot on the mountain or getting too close, that's the effect that it has on people that have climbed up on it.
I don't think I'd want to do that then.
No, it's probably.
I think I'd take the hint.
Yes, we should admire it from afar. It's a beautiful mountain, and it's a very special place. You just anyone just is inspired to look at this beautiful thing, but it's not to be touched, apparently.
Right.
And no doubt the same with the covenant, Ark of the Covenant. It's admired from afar.
Yeah, they believe those people who take care of Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopian church, they go blind, and
that's right. They have a short lifetime.
Yeah, exactly, and they just replace, and nobody's allowed to go there, and they dedicate their life to protecting it.
Yes.
But what about this golf course business? It doesn't sound too healthy for business, does it?
Well, he has a bunker, or very a special safe that
I see.
He keeps his items in it.
So maybe that's what the drones are looking for.
I don't think they care that much about a piece of technology like that. Okay. We do, because it's says to believe that when USA attacked Iraq for the weapon of mass destruction, they knew about these artifacts there. And before they attack, it was this discovery by German archaeologists, I guess, that, I found the location of these artifacts. This is approximately in this city, in Iraq. And then they attack, but they didn't find any weapon of mass destruction, but they got the artifact probably.
Okay. You never know what's going on, do you? There's the cloak and dagger stuff all the time. There are ulterior motives.
Yes.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
I was just thinking back to reverse technology and the likes of that, Kim, too, that one of the things that appear consistently, especially off the coast of California, are small UFOs that they refer to as TikToks, which they look like a little lolly, and they just zip around at ridiculous speeds and angles and then disappear into the sea. But there is very much speculation that they are man-made objects. But
those Tic Tacs?
Is it Tic Tacs?
Yeah.
Sorry, not
because it looks like a Tic Tac. I thought you talk about
they come in a little packet. Yeah.
I'm not too good on my lolly. Sorry.
Those Tic Tac shapes, UFOs, they believe it's man-made, but is to be determined.
Yeah. So
I knew what you meant.
Oh, good. I didn't. But I'm just thinking that's we're talking about what you were saying since the 40s, the secret group you mentioned. I'm just wondering if the Tic Tacs are actually maybe one of their creations too.
I don't know.
That I don't know why they think they're man-made, but that I've heard this many times now that they're a UFO. We don't unidentified flying object, but they act in different ways than the rest, apparently.
Okay.
By the way, both George Bush Senior and George Bush Junior are Knight Templars, so you know.
Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
both
Well,
Knight Templars and Freemasonry. Both of them.
really. Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting stuff that goes with that. You know, there's all these
Yes.
secret societies
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, I've been down
Okay.
through the rabbit hole too.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that, so that is interesting.
Yes.
Mm.
But what I'm getting from this so far though is it feels like we're really on the verge of some amazing breakthroughs with technology. But I really see, our challenge. I think we better really evolve quickly, if from our old ways of being, that we can really do something wonderful for mankind with any of these new things coming our way.
Well,
Okay.
it's an individual journey that sort of adds to the
Yes,
collective, isn't it? Really.
yes, yes.
So,
But
you
that's
know,
what we
and
can do, isn't it?
yes,
Let's
yes.
shape. Well, I'm talking about myself, really. Shape up any old bad habits about wanting to be greedy and control the world and gobble up all its resources and get a bit more eco-friendly.
Well, it's you need to have enough, don't you? But sometimes,
Yes.
how much is enough? You know.
Well, that there's the Taoist saying, which I really, really try and live by: take what you need, not more and not less, from nature. And I think if we could do that as a whole of mankind, we'd be in pretty good shape now.
Mm.
And I would like to think we could apply that to what seems to be these amazing new breakthroughs coming our way, with what you're talking about, Marnie, and possibly what we're seeing in the skies over New Jersey. We don't know yet, but wow, very exciting.
I like it. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's a psyop or if it's actually happening. I like it because it just makes our case for us that it's not just this three-dimensional world that you try to run it by greed and power hungry people. That there is more to it, and we see the evidence, as much of the evidence we can call them. But one more thing that we need to touch on is, have you heard about the Pope Francis that opens up 5 gates in Vatican?
What?
No, I don't. I
you haven't
haven't.
heard?
No.
No?
They
Spill the beans, mister.
they opened the
Yeah.
Lucifer tomb, which I didn't know they have a Lucifer
No,
tomb
me.
there.
Yeah.
So
I
they-
I
suppose it's
didn't
got
know
to
anything
live
about
somewhere.
that.
Yes, and they unsealed some artifacts there, and he's supposed to, in Christmas Eve, he's supposed to open up 5 gates that are located in different location in Vatican. So something is really creepy, and I say it creepy because it's only creepy. It's nothing religious
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. Because when I hear what is going on, it's like, what kind of ritual are they doing? What is going on there? And it's like going on the radar because it's all this crazy drones and things going on around the world, wars, this, that. We don't even pay attention to Pope Francis, what he's doing. And I think it's coexist with whatever we talk about right now. It's related to it. Have you seen
So, I haven't seen anything about that.
No,
Oh,
not me. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But
You've
that's
thrown
very
us into
interesting.
shock, Marnie.
Yeah, I was
Well, look,
shocked.
that's very interesting because these so-called religious heroes, if you like, are not always what we have believed them to be. There are some very interesting things that go on, aren't there? And I have a belief that we have a possibility of a direct relationship with God, with Source.
Same.
And I don't believe that we need a go-between. for
No.
example. So when we're talking about power and power over and misuse of power, I believe that the church is just as guilty as anybody else.
Yes.
So,
Mm.
it's part of the Pluto moving into Aquarius is for humanity to have the opportunity of waking up to their own individual relationship with their own sense of source, God, spirit, Allah, whoever you want to call it, and not needing the permission or the rules, the control of a go-between. And that is what churches and formalized religion have represented to me. And so when I hear you talking about things like that, it just confirms for me that my own feelings about some of these high up people in these places are not necessarily doing the right thing for anybody.
Yeah, all these holidays, all these dates that we celebrate, Christmas, is all pagans' rituals.
They're
And
completely wrong. So the Christmas holidays was all of celebrating the original Olympics. It's got nothing to do with Jesus and Jesus's birth or death or anything like that. It's just a time of the year that was, all of a sudden that pagan ritual that the church decided that was when we were going to celebrate it. It's a bit like the Queen's birthday. The Queen's birthday is on a date that's got nothing to do with her birthday or King's birthday these days,
Yes.
It's completely different. Like I said, I came across, Jesus's birthday. He is the 11th of September 3 BCE,
Yeah. He was born before he was born. Oh.
Yes. 3 years before
BCE,
he was born.
before the Common Era, Well, before they started that calendar, if you like,
Yes. Yeah. Mm.
So they didn't, So, absolutely. Christmas has got nothing to do with celebrating. I mean, it's turned into a buy presents for people and things like that. If you celebrate it, isn't it? Yeah.
Which was a pagan tradition to buy gifts.
Yes.
They have this virgin bird and everything. All this was pagan.
Well,
if you go through the history of Christianity, which I listen to a lot of them, it's fascinating because I've listened to people who know Hebrew and ancient Greek, so they translate ancient Greek, and their interpretation of Bible, the King James Bible that we read, we probably everybody have access to. It's like it's nothing at all like that, and that tells the different story. And if you read that story, then everything will make sense why the religion is the way it is, especially Christianity.
I mean, Easter was celebrating spring in the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is a new Persian New Year.
So there's a goddess called Eoster, Oster or something like that. She was a goddess. That was So completely different to Jesus dying and being resurrected and all the rest of it.
So I don't know why he decided to do it this year. They call it like every 25 years they have a year. I forget the name of it, that they need to do some rituals, but this hasn't been done ever. Open up 5 gates. Suppose that they supposed to mean something or like release something. So Pope Francis got into it this year.
My goodness.
Maybe they have some knowledge.
That brings alarm bells.
Yeah, exactly. Because in that Vatican library that is sealed and classified, they have some insight to so many ancient knowledge, and they probably know something. They probably is coming. So they try to do the last attempt, the Hail Mary attempt to stop it, but I don't think they can. Their time is up.
Well, that's my version. Pluto's left Capricorn. Pluto's left that tyranny or power over, and I don't know if you just pay attention to people in your communities. People don't want to. People are busy living their own lives, but all of a sudden they just start like for COVID, for example, we were all locked down. And if you didn't get vaccinated, you were forced to be vaccinated if you wanted to have a job and feed your family and, do all the rest of it. There's something wrong about that. But people went along with it. But all of a sudden, people the energy's changed.
Yes.
Something's changed. People are doing things differently. And you start to, our government even knows that we will not be locked down again. They'll have to find some other way to do that. We're just not going to stand for it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people have removed their compliance or their willingness to go through that psyop control again. It was over the top. There's something wrong about it. And that energy is just no longer there. So the energy is no longer there for Pope Francis to go ahead and resurrect the devil or whatever you want to say. There's not enough people who will comply, in my opinion, anymore. It's like humanity has just all of a sudden shifted their attention to something else. They're not supporting that, what I call that 3D density nastiness anymore.
Yeah.
It's changed. And all of your little beautiful plasmoids and things that are coming along may be a little sign that there's some help to help us in a nice way with that sort of thing as well.
That's right. I kind of felt the same listening to you talking about this, Kim. Now, if all this hoo-ha in New Jersey is some distraction, I don't think they got much chance of succeeding, do you? From what you're saying.
I would certainly hope not. Yeah.
I don't feel it is that, but if they did, well, poor beggars, they're out of luck.
I would say the analogy of what you just talked about is that we've been in a pressure cooking machine because here in Sweden we didn't have lockdown. So people are still going about their life like it's normal. And that's why they're like more talk to the system. They believe in system still. So many. So they don't like to talk about this type of subject that we talk about as much. But in USA, because they've been in that pressure cooking machine, they transform from what could have taken maybe 30 more years. It happens in like 2 years. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. What are we doing? Why do we submit our powers to them and they lie to us? They lie to our faces. Why do we do this? Why do we keep doing this? Let's stop. Let's recalculate our moves and see. We pick now who to believe, what to believe, and what to not believe. I think it happened because of that lockdown. That's when they went wrong. They thought like it's just gonna be a momentary pause. They're gonna gain more control, and they can do whatever they want with it. But it backlash.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to Lyle independently before, and COVID for me turned me into a little political animal. I never thought that I was very politically motivated, but all of a sudden I've turned into a wee rebel. I might be an armchair rebel, but I'm still a rebel, and I won't put up with that stuff, So I think what you're saying, I can confirm from my own personal experience that, I'm one of the ones that go, you're not doing that to me again.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
way.
Yeah.
And I think that there'll be more people. Yeah. So, bit of a rude wake-up call, but hey.
That's a price you have to pay, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so we can end on that, I guess.
Yeah, that seems like
it
a
was
good place
a
to.
really interesting talk, and we touched on so many
Wasn't it
different.
just? I didn't think I had anything
Oh.
to talk about. How interesting.
Oh,
Can't shut
Kim,
me up, can you?
I am so impressed with your wisdom, Kim. I think we're just getting started here.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you.